Um, I did research that question and I did consult with Mr. Paul Miles at the Texas Association of Counties, and it's about 280-some thousand, and it is money that was left over when they built the building. So it can be used to repair, update, upgrade, but it does have to go through a bidding process. It has to be a project, not like, I need an air conditioner, now I want 5,000, or, it has to be a advertised and all the procurement process followed, and absolutely, you can repair any similar building, whether it's this one or the courthouse. Primarily if it's this one, it's better.
Where that money is right now, which account, you don't know?
It is in the debt service fund, and, it,
Mr.
you
But
know about
the
this,
person
Mr.
that can is the one that gentleman that wrote the bonds for it, to be sold. He's
No,
the
did you
person
know about this?
that should
About
know
that account?
and tell us.
I talked to the district attorney about it, and I got basically the same answer. That's the extent of my knowledge.
the biggest amount is not that one, it's the several million that you have, that you've been collecting taxes when you already, there's enough money to pay everything off, as far as the debt service. As far as the debt service for the bond issue. So at some point, you need to stop taxing the people.
Let's take a workshop with her, please. Now we go to a political forum, ojalá.
Okay. I have a question on number 5, Ms. Guerra, contractual services, what are those 50,000 for?
Mr. Carter, you had a list of what they were all for. I think that the judge was the one who submitted to you. Do you remember? I don't have it
And
with me.
I have to admit my ignorance. I'm sorry, I'm not informed on that question. I've tried to research that question, and I've asked that question, I've gotten some answers that I don't understand, and I can't.
So actually,
Okay,
you
so
all
we can-
don't know what those $50,000 are.
I don't, because, the judge was the one who submitted the countywide, proposal to Mr. Carter, and I know that he noted on there exactly where these monies were missing and what they were gonna be used for.
Because what we spent on 2017 was only 73,000, and we proposed 50,000, so we're only lacking 23. But of course, everything goes up,
Yes.
but I just wanna know, where's that money heading to? That's my thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I would probably, let's earmark that one, Mr. Carter, so that we have some references on what is that money going, where is that money going to? So we know, I mean, exactly where that money headed to.
I didn't bring the history, I didn't bring last year's history with me. I can certainly
I
find
mean,
it.
'cause it's still 50,000 or $50,000.
Yes.
And the cultural lake too, I mean, we just put it in money, which we don't know.
I know you had a breakdown, Mr. Carter. You had a breakdown of why, this request was made and for what.
The amount that you needed.
All right, I've just been provided, thank you.
But this is for which one?
Treasurer.
Contractual services?
I've just been provided
Okay.
with some historical data on that fund. The entries, the historical entries are iDocket, Lone Star Shredding, Total Imaging Solution, Delage Landon Financial, Hammer Enterprises, Design Elements, Texas Association of Counties, Real Delta Engineering, Town Crier,
Yeah.
Texas Logic, Lone Star Shredding, there's several for Lone Star Shredding, there's several for Ramco Investments,
For who? Remco what?
Ramco
so.
Investments. Who are those guys, Ramco Investments?
Apparently, these are contracts for services that the county is a party to. I don't know what all the services are.
Is that storage?
Storage.
iDocket is the computer software that runs part of the court system. Delage Landon Financial is a financing company that finances, fax machines and copiers and different office equipment, big ticket items.
That they find? What do they do, find copiers?
They finance copiers and fax machines and different office equipment. So, there's there's, an attorney firm in here, Wiedenhammer, Wiedenhammer is our Alio is the accounting system, the county's accounting system, that I know is absolutely critical that we keep that.
So with the 50,000, we'll be okay for the year.
Maybe 70, but it'll be tight at the end, but you can adjust it
We can
later.
adjust at the
It's
end.
later.
All right, so we're okay.
Can you research that? Can we allocate money as needed as we go, instead of a lump sum for the whole year?
Well, what about a separate account?
You
One
can
separate
certainly, you
account.
can certainly do a contingency account where you can the auditor can transfer monies as needed into that, something along those lines. So you can have an idea and then approve it as necessary as a court.
Okay. County Court of Law, is anybody from County Court of Law? Was this
Yes.
court appointed? We have somebody?
Well,
Oh, they're appointed attorneys when we need them.
Yeah.
What is that? I understand to appoint an item attorney?
yes.
Which of those are, on what cases are they gonna be appointed on?
These are mostly domestic violence and child protective cases, in the county court of law, cases where the plaintiff or the defendant doesn't have enough money to pay for an attorney, they're indigent. In other words, this is another case, another provision for indigent defense.
Okay.
It's in the county court of law instead of.
Okay, for agriculture and extension services, ma'am?
Yes.
I'm not sure I have the formula in our, ours is just what we're trying to do is just to put back the money that we put in the line items that we had to move in order to maintain, because we have to have a certain amount of money that the county provides in order to be able to justify the grant people that I have in our office. We have 11 people that work in our office, and what we use as a match for all of these people and all their full-time salaries. You know, and these are CDC grants that work, those are federal grants. We have grants that come out of different agencies, you know, in the state level. And we have to use that money, salaries, travel, all of that as a match in order to be able to keep them employed. And when we received, initially they had asked for an 8% reduction in our budget. And mainly all of our budget is salaries and travel. We have very little of operating fund. We had to zero out all of the line items in order to be able to carry the money over, in order not to lose our grants, you know, in January. I don't know if you can see that. We actually took away our alarm system. We had to change our telephone. We had to make a new contract with our copier. We did everything we could in order to be able to salvage the salaries of our employees. That is where the issue was and I think the total request that we're doing, and that's just to kind of put some of the money back so that we can operate, and it's a total of about $14,000.
No, what shows here is 11,000.
Oh, 11,000.
On the, I think what the auditor submitted to you was, he took away the secretarial and the clerk. Those are about $3,000 there. Those two individuals got a pay cut. In order for us to go ahead and balance the budget, what was asked of us, we had to reduce their salaries, by about $3,000 between those two individuals. And whenever we were approached, you know, to go ahead or whenever we were asking, you know, is to at least to go ahead and reinstate, you know, some of that money back to those employees, because their responsibilities are still the same and we haven't cut services or anything, but we did have to reduce their salaries in order to go ahead and meet all the numbers that were requested, you know, of us.
It wasn't an increase in their
It's not an
salaries.
increase, and you can look back at last year's budget. and that's-
Commissioner Alvarez, you have a copy of the budget, right, sir? The old budget, sir, you have it right there?
You can look and see, they're not asking. for
What are the numbers, Commissioner Alvarez, on on the salary of secretary and salary of clerk.
We're not asking for a raise, we're just asking for a reinstatement because of the fact, and we have, they service all of those 11 people, we have travel, we have, you know, that they have to submit, they have to maintain logs on all of the items that
Okay.
are purchased in advance.
From last year's, from the proposed, and from the original, you're talking about 2017 fiscal year, or 2018, the one that was proposed from last year?
They want,
Because we
26
proposed one and then we've changed that one that was proposed, am I
Yes,
correct?
yes.
Okay. The one that was proposed by Judge Vera is the same salary, same thing, 28,049, we didn't change it at all, it's the same thing. The one that was proposed by Judge Vera. Okay, what you guys had in the 2017 fiscal year, you are correct, it was 29,421, and it dropped down, 1,400 for your salary of secretary, and for your salary of clerk, you had 28,49, and it did go down to 26,822. But that was what you guys proposed, because if I'm not mistaken, Judge Vera told you guys, this is what we need, an 8% cut.
Yes.
But you made the changes, we did.
No, I understand that,
Okay.
and we
So
understand that
that's-
perfectly,
that's-
no, that
okay.
we understand.
Okay.
But at least to go ahead and because these girls, in order for us to meet the 8% cut that was requested, you know, we had to go ahead and reduce those salaries, because we couldn't take any more hits on any of the
You
line
are, you are
items.
correct, and neither do we in Road and Bridge, but we had to, I mean.
Yeah,
that was the
and
thing.
so we were just, you know, asking to see if we can go ahead and reinstate them back to their original form, which was the previous
But,
year.
but what you guys propose, so you want now for us to change it, but what you propose, because remember, Judge Vera sends out the paper and you fill it out and you bring it back to him.
You don't want, that's what you're proposing, you know?
it was just for the salaries.
Right, no, that's what, no, man, we're still going back to to
Okay.
what we had to make the cuts across the board on the county.
But that was Judge Vera's idea.
Yeah,
The
it was
8%.
$150,000 for the commissioners, then we would get a cut, including from the fire department, the nutrition centers, and $100,000 on each commissioner. So, I mean, we still are holding our budget the way it is. And this cut, you proposed it because you were following the orders of the judge that said, let's cut the 8%. Am I correct?
On the salaries.
Well, we couldn't really meet the 8% deadline, Commissioner Garza, because of our grants, so we cut 6%, and that's what we submitted to Judge Vera. But whenever we finally got the final budget, we were cut 12%.
12%.
On the final budget.
On the
On the
final
final
budget,
budget.
so that's when, you know, initially back in September, if you can't recall, you know, we went back and we started moving money around within the line items in order to put it back
That's why
where we
you, right
needed.
now, you're showing 0, 0, 0.
We had to move all that into the line items where we
In order
needed
to be
it,
able
in
to
order to
just
be able
cut-
to. So that's,
Well, on the increase of salaries, you're not showing anything right now, so you're satisfied with that, am I correct? Because it's showing 28,449 and 26,822 for your secretary and clerk. You want, that's gonna stay the same, but you're asking over here more money for the other line items, which is the materials, computer updates, mileage, all of that. Are you satisfied with that?
yes, yes, sir.
And that's 11,000 or the 15?
So 11,100 salemos. ¿Entiendes? The only thing is, they're not gonna get the salary of the 2017.
Excuse me?
They're gonna stay with what Judge Vera proposed and what's done.
I'm sorry, Commissioner, and I did try to approach to try to explain to you, it was a 12% cut on the operating, you know, and then the two salaries.
See, porque en computer update, you already had zeroed out, demonstration material, you had zeroed out, travel seminar, you had zeroed out, postage, you had zeroed out, repair and maintenance, you had zeroed out, and dues, you had zeroed out. So you're gonna get on all those line items, you're gonna get what you wanted. Okay, if it gets passed, I don't know. That's what's being proposed to the Commissioner's Court.
Just to operate.
Just to
We're not
operate.
asking anything extra in the service that our staff provides, you know, and because if not, we will lose those positions. That's the way.
Okay, thank you very much, ma'am. Let's continue with county judgment, yeah?
Am I correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, the proposed change to 2018 budget. Okay, for auto expense, this is what the judge requested, to reinstate 15,000, since, that line item for fuel and everything else having to do with auto expense for the office, was zeroed out. So therefore, that's what, Judge Vera is requesting so we can make it through the year. I'm sure you all remember that, he did comment that right now, we have no money for fuel or any type of maintenance for our vehicles. So he's asking for 15. Travel and seminars was also reduced, so he's asking for $2,000 more.
Let me ask you, ma'am, is this a needed item? I mean, do they have to go to all the travel and seminars? Because I go once a year out of take a seminar for the class I have to make. And I've seen in several departments, they go about every month, probably twice a month, you know. I mean, to the seminars. And this one here, this year, I gave it to the JP because our seminars go over here in McAllen, so I can drive back and forth.
Well, let me add to this a little bit, Commissioner. As the county judge, and I'm speaking on his behalf, and I wasn't prepared to speak before you all, but being that I've been in that office for many years, he doesn't only go to required, seminars, you know, cause I understand that you all have to have certain continuing education hours. But, as a county judge, he has to go meet with people in Austin. He has to, meet with, several other meetings, the COGS, et cetera. And with what was left, you know, there was no way we would be able, and this is not only for the judge. Sometimes I have to, maybe twice a year, go to different meetings. I do belong to several organizations, that, require me to travel. I don't do it, but like I said, maybe twice a year. But, that's not only for the judge himself, you know, it's also for myself and other staff that need to go to required, meetings. The next one that, okay, I guess he had asked for salary of administrative assistant, but it says 0 here.
Yeah.
And then,
That one's been-
pardon me?
That addition has been withdrawn, that request has been withdrawn.
Okay, no,
Is
I'm just following this because I remember seeing something else previous to this. Miscellaneous, he asked for, $5,000 more, and there's just so many things that we do pay from miscellaneous.
Like what?
We pay, bonds, we pay, sometimes we pay, like, if there's not any more money left from, let's say, ads, we go into, miscellaneous and we pay from there. There's just many things that our office requires, for this line item, and I think we were just left with $1,000. The next one, the FICA, I guess that one is 0 now because the request was withdrawn. And so was the retirement. So the proposed, shown here by Mr. Carter, is 22,000 to add to that department, which is the county judge's department.
Planning department?
Okay, planning department.
Not you.
Salary of code enforcer. The reason that we're asking for this amount is because the person that we have there right now, her salary was reduced by that much amount of money.
Let me tell you what, I'm not gonna mention
And
names.
I'm just
No,
gonna
but that's
read
what,
this because I
but
have,
that's what I'm saying, so for the purpose of the commission.
yeah.
This is a stipend that was given to a person because of the maquinitas and all that stuff.
No, I'm sorry, Commissioner, it's not a stipend.
It used to be.
No, not this $5,000. The stipend was separate, am I correct? That person's salary was $33,000. And then and when the maquinitas were left out or pushed out of the picture,
Se le quitó.
se le quitaron the 5,000 in additional to the 33.
I
So,
don't agree with it, to be honest. That's.
I'm just
that-
reading what I'm seeing
Okay,
here
go
and
ahead.
what I know.
Mr. Carter, you got something to say?
Yes, sir, thank you. The way this was explained to me is that in the planning department, in the prior year's budget, there were 2 food inspectors and 1 code enforcer. And in this year's budget, the judge wanted to do away with, in fact, one of the food inspector's positions was done away with, and he wanted to change that, he wanted to swap the food inspector for a different, another code inspector because of all the construction and development that's going on in the county. And he wanted this code inspector to be paid the same as the existing code inspector. So that's the reason for the $5,000 increase.
You know, and it's been, and I've voiced my opinion, it's not necessary or it's justifiable that you, they say, Ms. Guerra here makes $45,000 a year, and you bring somebody else, as an assistant, has to earn the same amount that she's getting paid at this point in time. I mean, you can start off at $25 an hour, I mean, just like anybody did.
Commissioners, Mr. Carter, and the public here, I need to leave because we need to go to a veteran's funeral. Pati, you take this one?
Espérate, una hora,
No, I never be late for that.
And of course, what follows after that, and I'm just gonna read what I'm seeing here, are the FICA and the retirement to, for that additional amount requested of salary that goes with, in the package. Am I correct? Okay, 911, that's also my department. For 911, if you all recall, I am not asking for anything extra other than to have this $10,048 that are needed in order for, this is a budget that we get reimbursed. So if I don't get the complete budget, I don't get all the money reimbursed. So in reality, that's very much needed, just so that you all can know.
So you're trying to say that if we don't put in those $10,000, you don't get the rest of the money?
We don't get the full amount.
And why is that? And I mean, is all that money gonna be spent because we're gonna,
It's already allocated.
It's allocated. You see, every quarter, I submit a reimbursement request for that department. 911 sends me a budget. Let's say the budget says 60,000, okay? That's how much they're gonna reimburse me. Now, you all reduced it, I don't know by how much, but that's how much is needed for me to make it equal to them, so that we
well,
can
it
get.
was reduced to the amount that actually was spent. It was $53,000 that was actually spent
Well,
in that year.
Let me just tell you,
Remember that
what-
they get reimbursed, Commissioner.
Right, that's what I'm saying, but you know, and the grant was for $53,000.
yes, but let me tell you, if you were basing yourselves on what was reimbursed, the salary part only, we get 80%. But I have to submit the full amount. Let's say that person earns $2,000 a month, they only send me 80% of that. So you all are leaving me without that part, so that's why. And, the signs also, Commissioner, that's the other line item. The signs, they give me certain amount of money for signage, and they give me 50% only of what, we sent out. 50%. And what's next?
No probation.
Can I just continue with my other one, which is the last one,
Solid waste?
now that I'm here?
Okay. Solid waste, page 5.
Page 4, page 5.
Page 5 and 6.
Yes.
Bottom of page 5.
Yes,
Okay.
okay. Utilities, in order for me to make it through the year, I'm only asking for $1,000 more. Uniforms, I need $9,000, for uniforms for the, maintenance people that I have there, and they're the only ones that use, uniforms because it's required for them to wear.
Did we get new hires, Ms. Desmond?
No, sir.
Okay, in 2017, we only spent $8,300, and for the budget, we added $500 more, which is $8,800. You want $9,000 more.
Hold on.
Look at your 2017 actual, $8,300, that's what we spent.
Well, let me tell you why.
Okay.
Because that budget, the $8,300, we would have to be moving.
Oh,
From
okay, so
another
you were
li-
making amendments to make it.
Yes,
to make
because
it up.
no completábamos, so
Okay.
that's why we had to do that.
All right, ma'am.
The next one,
Repair and maintenance?
repair and maintenance equipment, based on our expenses last year, we're gonna be in the need of $10,000 more.
Yeah, you're showing it there.
And miscellaneous, I wish Janie would be here. Can you go find Janie? Cause I need to, for her to justify this, $5,000, I need, for her to tell me what she's paying for 5,000. Closure expenses, that's a requirement. We have to be paying, how much is it, Mr. Carter? Like 14,000 a year? That,
The
we don't
county-
use for anything else, we send it to,
TCEQ
TCEQ.
requires a trust. The county has a trust fund, beneficiary TCEQ, to guarantee that we can close that landfill. And we have to contribute to the principal of the trust every year. That's what the
Sort of
state-
like we're bonding ourselves.
Mr. Carter, let me ask you something. I understand we have that fund, and we had over $1 million. We have already closed the landfill. Now we got a transfer station. Are they requiring to have a closure on that?
the landfill is not closed, Commissioner?
I got the-
The landfill is not officially closed, it's considered inactive, okay? Because we don't have any more life in it. To officially close it, that's why we need this money, because TCEQ requires us to, vegetate it at a certain point in time to avoid erosion, to avoid, the methane gas from escaping, because when all these years of trash are compiled.
I understand that, yeah.
Okay.
But do we still have that $1 million that were reserved for that? Because it's not
Yes,
being
it
sold.
should be. It should be, because Commissioner, we cannot touch that money.
I know, I understand, no, I understand, I'm just asking, do we still have that money in TCQ?
I don't have it.
No, you don't have it,
No.
it should be out there in TCQ.
There's a
Eh.
trust.
Well, then we should be
We got
accounting for it.
we got
I got an
investigate.
invoice from the bank, from the trust department. I got an invoice from the bank trust department like a couple of weeks ago requesting this contribution that they want the county to make to that trust.
So I'm not questioning that, but I'm questioning is that we should, I know a long time ago, we had been saving because they were after us, and that we might have to, that the lifetime of that landfill was gone, and they had to be shut down and closed. That's why you have that $1 million to cover up and set those pipes to let that methane gas go
Yeah,
up.
and those
And
pipes are,
vegetate, like I said, that they said, but apparently it hasn't been closed yet.
no, sir.
It's
It's
active.
it's not from, okay, let's put a close sign and that's it.
No, I understand.
It takes years for us to do this process.
I understand, that's what I'm saying, but we have had the transfer station for how many years?
I'd say 8, 7,
And how long,
7.
how long more do we still got to go to have that closure on that landfill? Or to start the process?
I guess we can get into that when we're talking, right now it's a workshop.
That's what I'm saying, it's still on the same purpose, that's what we're asking.
Yes, it's for the same purpose, but what I'm trying to tell you is that that's what this money is needed for, and, you know, the
Okay,
next
ma'am.
one. Hold on.
They was here and I
No
saw.
faltaba lo del miscellaneous.
Y ahorita que venga, did you call Janie? Janie, can you explain to them what, I don't even remember what do we pay from miscellaneous? What items do we pay from miscellaneous? What purchases do we do from miscellaneous?
We pay the scales,
This, andale.
the air emissions fees,
Air emissions fees are required by the state,
yes.
and that's, you know, pretty hefty, but that's all we need.
Treasurer's office. Okay, supplies, that's it, that's all you're asking for? The treasurer,
We,
office
yeah,
supplies?
we currently don't have a fax machine, so we also need a fax machine, and we have enough office supplies, we barely make it every year, we're good. I use my own supplies in my office, but we have had to buy the registry book, and those are very expensive. So if we could get the 2,500, that'll do it.
Okay, so you're asking for two.
Mr. Carter offered to, but the fax machine broke down
Okay,
and,
25 more,
The
500 more.
fax machine valued $100 some odd dollars.
no, we use professional grade.
Usted que tengo yo, y $125.
Mr. Asa,
No, I'm telling you.
sí, pues,
And I just went for the JP one.
era una professional.
Hace $200 some odd dollars, they can receive a fax machine. ¿Eh? No, señor, de los office supplies. Nomás que estos quieren puro Cadillac. They want the Cadillac style.
The little
That's
ones-
the problem. That's where we're at, with where we're at.
The little ones cost less, but then the toner is very expensive, so they get you on the toner, so you buy the professional grade and overall you're saving. So it's $539 to be exact.
Adult Probation Department.
Commissioners, I know that we have a zero budgeted. This would be a new amount.
We never have to budget for the indigent care.
No, no tenía nada.
Nada.
No tenía, pues.
It usually doesn't happen because the companies that we have contract with usually will give us pro bono, and they give us 5% based on our caseload that we have on either GPS, drug patches, sober links. And in this case, we have a bill that hasn't been paid, so we need a line item to cover it. And it is not that 5,000, but we still have until October, so if there's any other bill coming in, it's for indigent. The reason it doesn't come up very often is because we do fall under the 5% rule. And when we did go into contract 5 years ago, this is the very first time that it happens to where we were above the 5% and they started charging on one individual. And even in the rate that we have right now, they still cut it in half. The individual is indigent. We make sure at all times that individuals qualify for indigent care. Basically this individual is handicapped. He doesn't have any resources to pay, but it's a court order, district judge ordered it, so it's something that needs to be paid, and it's something that is needed.
Okay.
Basically,
Thank you very much, Mr. Asa.
thank you.
Sheriff's Office, Mr. Fuentes.
Commissioners, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I believe on the salary of official, I think Mr. Carter can help me out here. On the salary of official, I think it was determined that it belongs to the salary, that it was not considered a supplement.
Let me ask you something, let me tell you something, because I've been here for the last, this is my 31st year in office. And this line item here was created and it was brought up to that point, not to 15,000. At that time is when Sheriff Guerra was here, he could not do overtime. And we agreed, and I was the one that proposed it back at that time for $5,000 because he could do overtime. It's not a part of his salary, no sir. We gave him that amount because he couldn't do overtime like everybody else has done. I don't know how it got to $16,000, but that was not the actual, because I was the one that brought it to the court and made the decision, and Sheriff Guerra at that time said, I'm happy with that, I can't do overtime, but if you give me $5,000, I'll be fine. And I was the one that created that one. That's what I'm saying, that's the truth of what it was not ever made a supplement or his salary. It was because he couldn't do overtime, and still the sheriff cannot do overtime with stone guard or anything.
That's correct.
That's why, and Sheriff Guerra at that time came to me, I went to the rest of the commissioners, and the judge agreed to allow him $5,000 a year. How he got to that point, I don't know, but it was not his salary.
The amount that was in the prior year's budget was cut to zero.
Yes, I understand.
Okay, and it was suggested to me that it be replaced.
And like I said, I'm telling you the way, because nobody knew, and of course the judge forgets a lot of things, you know, but I have a pretty good mind yet, and it was created by me, and I presented to the court with an agreement with Sheriff Ray Guerra, the prior sheriff, to give him $5,000 because he can do overtime. And like I said, never had it, I told the judge in front of the court, I never got a budget, I never turned in a budget because they did whatever they wanted, I never had the votes. So it was no use for me to send a budget out of my own precinct because they would just put in whatever they wanted.
Commissioner,
Yes, sir.
on the detention center, we're requesting additional 85,000 for utilities. The reason for that, there's been a major change in the water bill, in the water bills of the county. It went from, we're getting charged $187 a few times, and then it will go to 4,000 and 6,000. But in the past few months, it's been running steady, anywhere from $7,000 to $9,000 monthly. Monthly. The reason for that is that the city has improved in their water meters at the detention center, and it's apparently working correctly. It's a 4-inch line. We do have almost 300 people plus in the facility all the time. Inmates tend to use the toilet, to flush the toilet more than we do at our homes. They're there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. More or less, the average amount of gallons being used is 1.4 million gallons of water. So that's the reason for the increase in the utilities. That is to cover the water bill expenses throughout the year. The other increase will be in food consumption. We're not asking for $400, we're asking for $300,000 to cover the rest of the year for food consumption. More or less, we have 275 beds at the facility. We've been running at 265 capacity. In addition to that, we feed the guards, and we also prepare the plates for juvenile. That's close to 300 plates 3 times a day. That averages out to $7 more or less per day that we spend to feed each individual.
Mr. Carter, would you make the change on yours, sir? From 400 to 300? He's requesting 300 only. For the proposed budget change of 2018, yes, sir.
All right, sir.
Drop it down to 300. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Molina.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Going back to, I saw I don't know, I've seen so many budget amendments here, that in one of them, on the transfer station, get up took off before I got to that. At one point in time, I saw that, they wanted to increase by, the hauling for $150,000 more or something like that.
It's no longer there, sir.
No longer there.
They already took it off.
They took it off?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, the reason is why, what's gonna happen, and we still, I understand that, the lawsuit was, with the city going back, supposed to, apparently stated that the LI Waste should pick up the trash back again. I don't know if it's gonna, actually gonna happen or not. And like I said, well, if they take over again, well, they're gonna go all the way to, go back to Maco. They're gonna take it directly up there or not. But apparently they took it off, the $150,000 more tax.
At this time, I would like to add something to our proposed budget for our Roma Bridge. If I'm not mistaken, we have some account that is not accounted, and I want that account now to show up at the Roma Bridge. How is it that we're gonna have to do this, or what?
Well, Commissioner, I looked at I looked at the International Bridge budget. If you have the book in front of you, it's on page 56.
Okay.
Or
But I don't have one.
I can show you my page here. I'll let you borrow. This page. The bridge budget is in the negative $193,000.
And what? Surplus of what?
As of today, if this document is correct,
What's the surplus of?
the road and bridge,
Okay,
76,000 surplus budget.
Bueno, si le quita los 10, ahí nos
And
quedan
you
66.
have the breath analyzer, you're taking it back to 10, and you still have a surplus that you can play with if you
66.
need something, and hopefully the taxes will come in. The delinquency rate was much higher last year, and we did be okay.
No, but we're already giving it out back to them, you know, so.
But
the
this is your
expectations
money,
are-
commissioners only, it is road and bridge, your money, nobody else.
Divided by
Okay, yeah, divided by 4.
And how much is that?
You have 76, if all the money comes in, you'll have 76,000, there's the 10,000, the rest of us, 10,000 for each.
No, that's not the case. We're here, Mr. Peña, to try to fix the deficit that we have. I mean, we were not here to try, you know,
lo están dando.
I mean.
Mr. Gardner, your proposed budget looks good.
Well,
Are you comfortable with the payload you're making or not?
no, I'm not comfortable. I'm very uncomfortable because I have to be the bearer of bad news at this time.
Okay.
I received a message from Lone Star National Bank yesterday.
Okay.
The $2.5 million short-term loan that the county owes the bank matures on January 31st. Lone Star National Bank expects that loan to be paid in full on January 31st. As of yesterday, there was $2.7 million cash in the general fund. And there's only $2.1 million budgeted. So the county is about to face a crisis of what to do about that loan on or before January 31st. There are not many options, and none of them will be politically popular, I can tell you that.
And I'm glad you brought that up, Mr. Carter. And here we're at, trying to get more money that they're asking for, where we have to pay this loan, and we're in a crisis. So where are we at?
I mean, there's
I
a
mean,
solution.
we have to pay it, you know?
Okay, it can be solved, it just won't be politically popular.
Well, it don't matter if it's politically popular or not, you know, we need to face what we created. This commissioner's court and in all the departments created this problem. It was is it politically famous or not? Let it be.
Well, I mean, I have a suggestion, but.
Well, what's the
just-
suggestion?
Okay, the suggestion is, we have $2.1 million budgeted.
Okay. But,
If I was in your shoes, I would approach Lone Star National Bank and say, I'd like to pay $1 million of the loan balance plus the interest. And I would ask for a 60-day extension on the remaining balance. And then I would ask Lone Star National Bank for, when the extension comes due, to convert it to a tax anticipation note for a 1-year term. That process will require approval by the Texas Attorney General's office, and it'll take about 45 days, and it'll cost between $15,000 and $20,000 estimated.
Plus the interest of the 1.5 that we have for a loan on that.
Plus the interest, plus the loan origination fee. You know, the bank's attorneys will prepare that application for us, but we have to reimburse the bank.
Have you talked to Judge Vera about this issue?
Very briefly,
If I may.
he wanted to just think about it overnight, so.
I've been reporting this for the past 6 treasurers' report, and at the end, I always tell you and inform the court that this problem is gonna be coming up, and that to authorize the county auditor and the county treasurer to find to implement the remedy that was proposed in the emergency recovery budget for the budget crisis. It calls for us to borrow $1 million, but we do have to get the appropriate permission. This is no longer anybody's individual county. This county belongs to the people under the state law, and we have to follow state law procedures. We did budget money for the $15,000 for the work that needs to be done. We did budget for the interest, $75,000. The budget was well prepared and well with full knowledge that this was coming. If we would have been authorized to do this work in October, we would have been ready to sign and ready to move forward. Again, I ask you to authorize the county auditor and the county treasurer to take whatever action is necessary to get this done. You don't have to put it through the form of a motion, but if we see that the intent is there, it's obvious that that's what you want and we'll get it done. For obvious reasons, it hasn't been done that way. There doesn't seem to be the knowledge to do it that way. There doesn't seem to be an intent to follow the procedures to do it the right way. And it's up to you to start doing it the right way and show a sense of new direction for this county that is in desperate need of a direction that's gonna grow the county.
Let me ask this, Mr. Peña. You said that you don't need the authority of the court.
No, we do. If we have a consensus of
Yeah,
you,
but then,
I think
but
he
you
means that
may
he
have a
can- I think he
consensus.
means that he can get, so they can get started working on it,
Get
but not necessarily.
started.
Exactly.
Ultimately, you will need commissioner's court approval.
yes, but we won't go and sign, we don't have the authority to sign any documents or commit the county, but get the ball going, yes. It's in the best interest of the county, and it's the only way. We will go into default in January the 31st, because we won't have enough. And you can't pay it, because of the 2.1 million, it's going to be reduced by an additional 400,000 that's been used for urgent needs expenditures that are going up. So as expected, we forecast that 1.5 million would be able to be paid this year, and 1 million would be paid in FY19. It's been the same report that's been reported to you since October.
But it was not the intent where that budget was filed.
Yes.
It was there, and also, more, it was, the judge had, proposed 1.5 or 1 million, and the other budget increased to $2 million.
Yes, it did, 2.5 million, but if you look closely on the revenue side, we also budget revenues coming in at 1 million in a new loan. So the net out is 1.5.
Yeah, but no, but in that new budget
No, the
increased,
old one.
it increased to pay more.
We have it at 2.1, but out of that 2.1, we're gonna use every bit of the 600,000 and things that are gonna come up between now and then. So the most we can pay down is 1.5.
Why is it that the most we can pay 1.5?
Because the 600,000 will be needed for indigent care and other critical expenditures of the court. And if you don't need it, you just pay down the loan in September. But you don't wanna be in a situation where the vendors are being penalized, that they're not getting their cash flow, their checks are bouncing, their creditors they're losing their credit because we don't pay them. It's very difficult for them to.
I think that the most prudent thing to do, commissioners, to explore this would be to set up a budget specifically geared at, budget workshop specifically geared towards this issue. I think it's of sufficient importance that we actually deal some time and everybody do a little bit of research on it.
I was taking a look at the numbers here with La Roma Bridge. You did say that we're in a deficit of 493,000, and I feel you're incorrect on that due to that our fiscal year still is not over. And we added almost 500,000 more to the participation with Roma, which we have not paid yet. So we need to go into those numbers and dissect those numbers, okay? Because this is the budget proposal for 2018. That don't mean we're still done with 2018. Because 2017, I came out straight as an arrow, okay? That's the one to correct that, sir. Thank you very much.
It's two different things, Commissioner. One of them has to do with your expenditures and revenues, and the other one has to do with cash flow. Yes, you did the bridge did very well. On the revenues and expenditures, it's only on the balance sheet side, on the cash flow. So that doesn't mean that you have to.
Other than what's not belong to the budget workshop. All right. Thank you very much. And, the way I see it, we didn't get nowhere.
Thank you, guys.